Samuel lives in Las Vegas in America, and I live in Nottingham in the UK, and we have a weekly Skype conversation about what's been going on in news in mathematics that week. And that's what we're going to do here today, live. He's walked away from his microphone, so I have to carry on talking. Shall I start?
Yes. Hopefully that got picked up on the mic.
We were talking about the silliness-seriousness ratio, and the stories that I printed out last night were, they lean towards the silly. What have I got? Android phone solves Rubik's Cube in 12.5 seconds. One of the things, I just like this for this sentence, I'm struggling to see because of the light. A Lego Mindstorms robotic kit controlled by a HTC Nexus 1 smartphone successfully entangled a Rubik's Cube puzzle in 12.5 seconds this week. We were at the, people who've listened to the previous podcast will know we went to Maths Jam, which was a recreational mathematics weekend. If you haven't listened to that, then you should, and you're listening to this, then you should go back and listen to that. And we saw speed Rubik's Cube solving, blindfolded.
Yes, and the guy seemed quite keen on doing it, and I'm sure that he generally can, but sadly, I have yet to actually see blindfolded Rubik's Cube solving.
Yes, he was, I mean, he did incredibly well. He did much better.
I've never solved a Rubik's Cube not blindfolded, so I think that he's much better than I am at it.
But anyway, 12.5 seconds is terrible. The current record is it 6? I saw a video last week.
It was something ridiculously fast. I was probably partially asleep.
Yes,
I have seemed to have been partially asleep for a large part of the time that I've spent in this country now. It's something about just not having way too many things to do, but I'll get into that later. What I want to talk about right now, and I really wish that I could project this on the screen behind me, but it's the Edmonton Oilers. I don't know if any of you have any idea who the Edmonton Oilers are, but this is a hockey team from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. And I was reading through Dave Richardson, Div by Zero's Twitter feed, and he put up this wonderful link to the Edmonton Oilers, except Oilers was spelled the way that we want to spell it. Starting with an E and then, U-L-E-R-S instead of O-I-L-E-R-S. And what he did is he put in a link to a Wikipedia article, and I want to read some of this to you because this seems to be a very important Wikipedia article. During the month of February 1972, the Oilers temporarily changed their franchise name to the Edmonton Oilers as a tribute to Leonard Euler. Euler's number is approximately 2.72, thus corresponding with the month February 72. The team introduced jerseys with lowercase e's in the place of the usual capital E at the beginning of both city and team name, first wearing them during a home game on February 1st. For the entire month, the team utilized a pricing scheme for individual tickets akin to Euler's formula to approximate E, using N as the day of the month. Ticket prices started out at $1.50 on February 1st and topped out at $2.67 on February 29th. Fan reaction to the temporary change was mixed. In general, casual fans were deeply confounded and upset by the change, while more mathematically oriented fans welcomed the change with open arms, some going so far as to suggest that it become permanent. Now this thing actually has a lot of problems with it. More than anything else, it turns out that Edmonton Oilers were not actually founded until 1973. So clearly that this is a falsified Wikipedia article, but it is one of the best falsified Wikipedia articles I have seen in a long time. And I spent an enormous amount of time on Wikipedia. That edit, by the way, lasted exactly 2.72 hours.
Yes, people have bots tracking these things, don't they?
Yeah.
Checking substantial edits and all that sort of thing. I'm very keen on telling people that Wikipedia shouldn't be trusted, but you prefer it for that sort of thing.
I just prefer it in general.
Yeah.
It is my well, no, it's probably in my top 5 websites. I would say top 5. Just now, what are your top 5 websites? That's what we're here to talk about, right? Like our favorite websites. No, just that math news. Math news. That's so you can go.
What we didn't say.
Or I'm gonna interrupt you.
Right.
Oh yeah, if you have anything interesting that you want to say in your mathematical world, we will be having a microphone going around later so that you can tell us. Or you can just send it to @Samuel_Hansen or @Peter Rowlett. That's 2 T's on the end of Rowlett, and there's 2 R's in the middle there too. And we will probably mention it on the show directly in front of you if you're just a little bit too shy to have your voice broadcast to the dozens of people who listen to this.
Who's checking that?
Someone out there who has a cell phone connection, I need you to check it for me. Use the maths hashtag too. That should work quite well.
Yeah, so if you put #maths if you want to ask a question, and somebody will chat it out for you on your behalf. Well, I could check it, but I'm doing this at the moment. But I'm going to do something a bit more serious. So this is there was an article I saw on a website called Phys.org on relativistic trading. It says the speed of light isn't fast enough for some market transactions. So this talks about high frequency trades, which apparently now represent 70% of all stock trades in the US. And it talks here about basically that if a stock is being sold for one price somewhere and for a different price somewhere else, if you can be very quick, you can buy at one price and sell at the other and make yourself a very small profit. And if you do this very often, then you can make yourself more and more money. This is one method of making money on the stock exchange. But it says here, when an investor in New York decides to buy a stock on the New York Stock Exchange, it takes about 500 microseconds for the transaction to go through. And now a tiny portion of that latency is due to the time it takes light to travel from the computer issuing the buy to the stock exchange itself. So light travels the length of Manhattan in approximately 1 microsecond. But if your office is on the other side of the world, if you're in Shanghai, it can take 40 milliseconds for the light to travel through the internet to get to your...
through that series of tubes. Ted Stevens' series of tubes, so he actually wasn't lying.
Oh, right. Yes, absolutely. You shoot light down a tube. So this offers a disadvantage to you if you're further away from the stock exchange. So what this is talking about, there's a model that's been proposed by Alex Wisner-Gross, a physicist at MIT, and Cameron Freer, a mathematician at the University of Hawaii, proposed to blanket the world with computer stations positioned along points between all of the major stock exchanges to try and remove this, to try and level this playing field. I just think it's fascinating that the world now moves at this pace, that we're concerned about these.
Who's going to pay for those? The people who made all the money doing this are clearly not going to pay for it because they want to keep doing it. And the other people are not going to have any money because they lost all of it because they weren't able to do this. So no one's going to pay for all these computer stations.
Jonathan Rowlett of Northwestern University said that the researchers have proposed a network and developed a technique for traders to determine the optimal geographical location to process information coming from multiple exchanges. It also helps to ensure faster convergence of prices, making the law of one price, a fundamental principle for pricing of assets, hold even at small time increments.